Hi everyone. We are presenting the activities of Working Group 3, my colleague Raluca and I.
Hi everybody.
Hi everybody. So, increasing the value of research by improving the efficient production and updating of systematic reviews. The overall goal of Working Group 3 is to identify areas for improving the efficient production and updating of systematic reviews. We have 3 research questions. How many resources do different steps of the systematic review process consume? We will answer that question with a scoping review, and this is also part of activity group 8. Another question that is part of activity group 8 is why systematic review production and update processes are resource intensive. We will answer the question by a qualitative study. Which of the available methods and tools can improve the efficiency of systematic reviews production is part of activity group 14, and we will also answer that with a scoping review. To get in detail, on the question, on the research question 1, how many resources do different steps of the systematic review process consume? Which methods we used? We did a 2-step search strategy. First, a focus search of OBIT Medline and Current Contents Connect, Web of Science in November 2019. And then we did a comprehensive search in OBIT Medline, Scopus, Science Citation Index, Expanded Social Sciences Citation Index, and Current Contents Connect in May 2020. Our eligibility criteria were the paper should focus on resource use when producing or updating a systematic review. The concept should be assessing one or more of the steps in the systematic review process. Outcomes that we are interested are the time spent on diverse tasks, effort of personnel, monetary resources, material use, perceived reasons why some steps are resource intense, and perceived resource intense steps. Study designs we were interested in were systematic reviews, prospective and retrospective observational studies, study modeling resource use, and qualitative studies. We were interested in papers published in 2009 or later. For study selection and data extraction, we used dual screening of title and abstract, and also of the full text and dual data extraction. The preliminary results of the scoping review are that we included 60 publications out of around 4,000 records, and the majority of the studies reported resource use in terms of time and personnel. Studies reported on resource use the following steps: formulating the review question, finding previous SRs, search strategies, using different databases, data application techniques, snowballing, study selection, data extraction, and critical appraisal. One of the gaps that we found in the evidence were that no studies identified reporting specifically on resource use of writing a protocol, data synthesis, meta-analysis, creating the certainty of evidence, and writing the report. For the second scoping review, which is focusing on the available methods and tools that can improve the efficiency of systematic review production, the methods, the aims of the scoping review are to explore the methods or tools used to improve the efficiency of SR production and to map the identified methods and tools against various context factors. The methods we also used a 2-step search strategy, first a focus search and then a comprehensive search. Then the focus search took place in February 2020 and the comprehensive search in November. And we will also check reference lists, forward citation tracking, and we will also do a hand search. The eligibility criteria are we will include SRs as well as primary studies that evaluated automation tools or review methods, either retrospectively or prospectively, and method studies since 1997, because this was the first mention of methods making the review process more efficient, and tool studies since 2005, as this is the first mention of text mining model in the published literature. We will exclude studies that test only algorithms or other models in the development or validation stages, but not yet used in a tool that is usable. For the study selection and data extraction, we will also do dual screening of title and abstracts and full text, and also dual data extraction. For critical appraisal, we adapted the ProBus tool, and we will assess with the adapted version of the ProBus tool the quality and applicability. With applicability, we mean is it usable for our reasons, and if the underlying methods and tools would be applicable or usable. And we will assess that in terms of, is the study an internal or external validation? Is it a development or validation or impact study? Does the study add value of a factor to the existing method or tool in terms of sample size, topic area, intended users, outcomes of interest, utility as a tool, and user experience? We will chart the data based on our data extraction. We will extract various items like study characteristics, topic, workload reduction, time saved, and we will summarize those results narratively and group them by the steps of the review process. We will define context factors of evidence synthesis relevant to FPRES, for instance, clinical or policy decision making or informing new research. So is a method or tool really usable in informing new research or clinical and policy decision making? Can it be helpful for that? And we will map identified methods and tools against various contexts of evidence synthesis regarding their applicability or usability, like we defined it. So now I will hand it over to my colleague, Raluca.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'm going to talk about the third project that we have started in working group 3, which is a qualitative study on why systematic review productions and update processes are resource intensive. So the objective of our studies are indeed to see why some steps in the systematic review process might be more resource intense. And secondly, to make recommendation on the practices of the primary researchers that should improve in order to become more efficient when conducting systematic reviews. The participants to our study are lead authors and co-authors of systematic reviews that belong to key stakeholders organizations in the field, such as Cochrane, Campbell, or GBI, or that conduct reviews independently of these organizations in the academia. We also wanted to have representatives of other specialties like information specialists or people who have expertise in this methodology or statisticians. To select our participants, we have mainly used the FBRES network and asked everybody who would support our project to distribute the information to their extensive networks. Additionally, all interviewees were asked to provide suggestions for other participants to our study as a snowballing step in our research. To get all these people, we have sent an invitation letter and a short profiling and a registration tool for which we have used Google Forms. This has been widely distributed via emails and Twitter and other channels. We decided on this approach because we wanted to create a diverse sample with respect to geographic diversity, experience, content area, and types of the reviews participants have conducted. The systematic reviewers who have registered their interest in our Google form have subsequently been contacted by the team members in order to plan the interviews. The structure of the interview had two main parts. A first part regarding to the previous experience in conducting and updating systematic reviews of our participants, where they had a chance to speak freely about their past experience, which in many cases was quite a long one. And a second part where we asked them about their perception on which steps of the systematic review process are more resource intense and reasons for which that might be so. We have additionally inquired about how these steps could be made more efficient in the future. The list of steps we have used was based on a list proposed by Span and all in 2014, which we have supplemented with two additional steps: critical appraisal and grading the certainty of evidence. The interview guide was piloted with one colleague from our working group 3 during our meeting in Krems, which took place in February earlier this year. Until now, the interviews that we have conducted have lasted between 30 and 110 minutes. They have been conducted on Zoom. The average is more around 1 hour. As I was saying, until now, 22 interviews have been conducted by three members of our team. And currently, we're still conducting interviews. Therefore, we will not be able to present already results. But what we can do is to tell you a little bit about the people that we have interviewed so far. So in terms of geographic distribution and background, we are quite happy that our 22 participants are coming from 16 different countries. So that's a good geographic distribution. And the background is quite well balanced between clinical practitioners, librarians or information specialists, researchers, statistician, methodologists. We have one student and somebody who didn't know where to qualify himself. Participants had more than one option to check. So this is the percentages we're showing here are just the first option. In many cases, most of the participants had multiple choices. In terms of affiliation and experience, it's also the same situation that 68 of the 22 people we have talked to have at least 2 different affiliations and 36 have 3 different affiliations. The majority of participants have affiliation to Cochrane collaboration, a 63%. And the next most represented, most populated category is the affiliation to a university or academic settings. In the meantime, the people who have accepted to participate in our study has risen to around 30 people. So the situation has changed since we have prepared the slide, but we think we're on a good path towards reaching a diverse sample. The number of systematic reviews that have been authored or co-authored by our participants is in most of the cases over 5 systematic reviews, with over half of them having conducted 10 or more systematic reviews. So we have mainly targeted people with extensive experience in the area. So what are we planning to do with this information? Lisa has talked about 2 projects of our working group, 2 scoping reviews, and together with the qualitative study that I just presented, we aim to feed into a Delphi study that is going to take place starting next year and perhaps also will continue in 2020. Next steps for us are to complete these 3 projects by the end of 2021 and to feed the results into the Delphi study beginning at 2022. So this is the list of our group members. We are thankful to everybody for their efforts, and we're just speaking on their behalf at this conference. If you want to find more about the project and our working group, you can visit the link and contact us directly via email, or you can ask us questions right now.